In the previous videos, I have discussed the layers of the gamelan, the characteristics of the gamelan, a little bit of the background. So if you missed those two videos, just go to part 1 and part 2 before you start watching this one. Now in this one, we're going to discuss the different groups. And I've got pictures here of the first group, group 1, the balungan instruments. We know that this group plays the nuclear theme called the balungan. And we have the saron family here, single octave metallophones, which have heavy bronze keys, and I see it there. Sarons are played with a wooden mallet, held in the right hand, while the left hand dampens the notes to stop them echoing and blurring the tune. So while you watch these pictures, try to imagine how this is played. So in the one hand I have a wooden mallet, and with the left hand I dampen the notes to stop them echoing, otherwise I will have a blurring sound the whole time. Now these sarons are divided into the saron Panorus, the one that you see here, and it's the high octave saron, and every note is played twice. Every note of the tune is played twice on this one. And then I have the saron barung, and it's the middle octave saron. So I've taken different pictures. Of course, this is not one set because they're not decorated the same. And then I have the saron demo, the lower octave saron, and they play with a barung. They play the nuclear theme straightforward. And there I see the kind of mallet that they use for this. This one is metal. You can also get this with a wooden top. An octave below the demung is the slentem. I don't have a picture of that one, and it often plays the notes of the nuclear theme but leaves out the fourth beat of each measure. Now in the balungan instruments that we have there, the panorus, the high one, the barung, the lower one, and the demung, the lowest one, the melody is played usually fast, simple and improvised, and it can be based on either the slendro scale and the pelog scale that I have discussed in my first video. Now if I go to group 2, the interpunctuating instruments, you can see that I have gongs and other instruments. They're vertical. I see the gongs hanging there. So let's look at the first two gongs that I see there. Okay, gong ageng, this large one, can weigh up to 68 kilograms, and it's suspended vertically on a wooden frame. So I see the wooden frame there, and it's made of bronze, and I have a knob there in the middle that I call the boss, and it's struck with a larger padded stick, and I see the stick lying there. Then I have the gong kempels, and they're the ones hanging there as well, and I play those as well in this interpunctuating instruments. I have the genongs, and I see that they are in a box frame. You see the box frame, and it's struck with hollow sticks. So they're the genongs, and then I have the kempiang and the ketuk. They look exactly the same, and it's a pair of smaller, high-pitched horizontal gongs. Okay, and this ketuk looks a lot like this one, and it's just a little bit flatter. Now the interpunctuating instruments, they play the nuclear theme. Okay, and the nuclear theme, they divide into different phrases by various tuned knob gongs. Okay, gamelan music is divided into measures of 4 beats. Each group of 4 beats is called a ketek, and it's rather like one bar of Western music. In gamelan music, the 4th beat of the ketek is considered to be the strongest, whereas in Western music, the 1st beat is the strongest. And I've also discussed this in my second video. So they play interpunctuating instruments. This is the group that I have here. And then my group 3 my Panorusin instruments. You will see that I don't use the same set. I've got different pictures. The purpose of the instruments of this group is to play a melody based on decorations and embellishment of the nuclear theme. So the nuclear theme that I hear, they embellish. The gender, you see the gender there? These instruments have thin bronze keys suspended in a frame over bamboo resonators. The disc-headed sticks are held in both hands and the keys are dampened by the thumbs. So I have 2 sticks and I dampen the sound with my thumbs. They can also ask you how I play this. The range of 2.5 octaves are divided into the Gender Panorus. The one Panorus I know is the high one, and the Gender Barung is the lowest one. Now the Bonang, I have 2 sets of gong chimes, and you see the gong kettles that I have there, and it is rested on crossed chord stretch over a single frame, each with a range of 2 octaves. And again, I have Bonang Panorus, sounds an octave higher than Bonang Barung, and it's played with padded sticks. So lots of these instruments I play with padded sticks. There I see, in this group I can also have the gambang. It's not always there, and this is a wooden key xylophone. I can have a selempung, it's like a sitar that I play, with strings plucked with the fingernails. I can have the rabab, and that I know from the Arab world. Okay, I can have a suling that they play, and that's the end-blown flute that I have there, and I can have singers. Now with my group 4, I have the rhythm instruments, and the most important of the rhythm instruments are the Kendang Gending and the Ketipung. I don't know whether I pronounce this correctly because this is not my culture. Okay, conical drums, which one end is larger than the other. You see that it looks a little bit larger there, and a skin at each end. These drums play sounds which are indicated by words in much the same way as the tabla players of the India play bowls. The function of these drums is to cue in the orchestra, indicate the tempo and accent the movements of the dancers or puppets. The rhythm in a gamelan piece is usually repetitive and syncopated. That's a very, very important characteristic. Okay. Other instruments that I have there is the beduk. It's a large barrel drum. You see that they love hanging their drums vertically. I have keprak, and that is the wooden blocks, same as I have in my Japanese culture. Keser, the small cymbals, and kekrek I also have. Notice how most of the names of the Indonesian instruments describe the sound they make. Keser sounds like an echo of a clashed cymbal. Keprak, so gamelan set. The word gamelan means to hit or to strike. They can ask you the meaning of this. The most common styles of gamelan come from Java or Bali. Each set of gamelan is restricted to playing within one scale. And we know the scales. Okay. One common 5-note scale in gamelan is called slendro. It's like the pentatonic scale. And another common 7-note scale in gamelan is called pelo. Main melody instrument in the gamelan are called the balungan. I have large vertically hung gongs, the gongageng and the kempo. And then I have multi-octave metallophones, the gender, multi-headed drums, kendang, and the gamelan music is often repetitive or cyclic. So if you listen to the music and they ask you what features of gamelan music you hear, mostly repetitive. We know about the syncopation, and it works in cycles. And when you study 20th century music and you come to impressionistic artists, you know that Claude Debussy was influenced by the gamelan in the 1880s. Balinese gamelan musicians really is practicing diligently to be able to change the tempo and speed and dynamics suddenly as an ensemble. So they really work very well in a group. Now here I compare the gamelan music to sections of a tree. Now the trunk is the bass line, this simple melody. Then I have the branches, the middle part, more complex than the bass. Leaves, the most complex part, the main melody is played by the leaves. And then I have the roots, the drum rhythm to keep the beat. So there you can see that I have group 1, the Balungan instruments, the nuclear theme, the middle part, and they're more complex than the bass. So they're the trunks. Then group 2, the interpunctuating instruments, and that's the bass line and the simple melody. Now at Panorusin, the group 3, they have the most complex part and they have the main melody, but they play with embellishments and they play with a decorated style. And then group 4, I have my rhythm instruments and they keep the beat. Okay, so if I look at group 1, the Balungan instruments, you can look at it there, you see where they are. They play the nuclear theme, the Balungan, and they have the ones with the Saron family, the metallophones. And we get Saron Panorus, Barung, Demong, and they play with a wooden mallet in the one hand, and the left hand dampens the notes. Okay, and the melody that they play is usually fast, simple, and improvised, and can be based on the scale. So look at that, your group 1 there. Then group 2, the interpunctuating instruments. They play the bass line, simple melody, and they have the different phrases, and they have the gong and the kempiang and ketuk. Okay, so they're the interpunctuation instruments. Okay, and then I have the Panorusin instruments, and the purpose of these instruments is to play my melody with decoration. So they quite good when they play here, and they embellish the nuclear theme. Okay, and then I have another group, and they're the rhythm instruments. Okay, so we have a tree, and we have one set, and we can have beginners in this group, we can have specialists in this group. It's very important that we understand that we don't have any stars playing here. Now, what is very important for your examination is, if I now scroll back, is that you understand the Dr. Smith method. That if you listen to music, that you only describe what you hear there. If they ask the gamelan, they will ask what to identify where this music is from. Okay, they can ask you a general question like the meaning of the word gamelan, or why don't you step over the instruments. They can ask you about the things that you hear. And I always tell my students, do not write what you do not hear. If you hear dynamics going louder or it's busy, write it down. If you hear the detached sound, write it down. If you hear that it's repetitive, write that down. It will be quite easy to hear polyrhythms. Okay? I will not hear the religious events or the respect, but I can hear the repetitive or the cyclic. Okay? I can hear maybe the scale, that they only use 5 notes. The melody, I can hear heterophonically. Okay? I can hear that the texture is multi-part. I can hear my instruments, the texture I can hear the tempo that varies, and the timbre. Good luck with your studies.